This week on Full Circle Florida, fairways in the park. DeSantis backs down on his plan to put golf courses and pickleball courts in state parks after so much public backlash this week. Why was this even a priority when Florida is facing a cost of living crisis? We'll get into it. Your voice, your vote.
Honestly, no clue. At this point, there's a lot going on and a lot sending me a lot of different directions.
Are you going to vote?
Yes.
Is this the election of the undecideds? What you told me, and it is quite revealing. Plus, we'll take a timeout from politics and talk a little college football, the new rules, and the new hope this year for Florida teams. But first, it was the biggest story of the week in Florida. The governor's plan to develop parts of state parks. After a week of intense public outcry, DeSantis pulled the plug on his executive order. Here's Forrest Saunders with how it all went down this week.
The Great Outdoors Initiative now sounds like it's indefinitely on hold. That's after a press conference from Governor Ron DeSantis earlier in the day on Wednesday, though he did keep the door cracked for something potentially coming back next year. At state parks and state offices,
don't mess with our nature.
Protests like these have popped up all over Florida recently.
Save our parks! Save our parks!
Folks frustrated over the Great Outdoors Initiative that DeSantis administration planned to build things like pickleball courts, golf courses, and large lodging at 9 state parks.
So this was something that was leaked. It was not approved by me. I never saw that.
Governor Ron DeSantis distanced himself from the idea Wednesday, calling it, quote, half-baked and, quote, not ready for prime time. He also confirmed what his staff told us earlier, that the plan needed more input and that the public hearing process would restart sometime next year.
Here's the thing. I'd rather not spend any money on this, right? I mean, if people don't want improvements, then don't do it.
The change-up comes after Florida's Department of Environmental Protection announced the idea on August 19 in this news release, saying the goal was, quote, reinforcing the state's dedication to conservation, the outdoor recreation economy, and a high quality of life for Floridians. In a series of posts online, DEP also defended the plans, but instead of understanding,
you want a pickleball court, put it in a city park.
Bipartisan opposition grew. It came from groups like the Sierra Club and beyond, activists telling us they were worried Florida was paving paradise.
It's here now and it won't be here forever if we keep continuing destroying green spaces and laying down concrete and building and building.
Instead, the Great Outdoors Initiative looks to have stalled, its critics now celebrating a victory, though cautious about what might come next. Now, we do know this public hearing process is going to begin again sometime next year. We just don't know exactly what that means yet. Requests for comment from DEP haven't immediately been returned. But it is a safe bet that this idea will probably come back up sometime during the legislative session, which begins in March. That's the latest out here at the state capitol. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
All right, let's bring in our political analyst, Dr. Susan MacManus. So the governor signs on to this idea to put golf courses and hotels and pickleball courts on state parks all over the state. It gets immediately shot down, at least by the public that showed up to protest. The week before, half the candidates he endorsed in the primary state lost. This was a guy a year ago that got pretty much anything he wanted when he was running for president. Book bans, done. The Don't Say Gay bill, done. Moms for Liberty school boards, done. Control over Disney's special district, done. Taxpayer money to send migrants from Texas to Martha Vineyard, done. People were loving everything he was doing, at least the ones that loved him. Has DeSantis, his influence dimmed in Tallahassee after his failed run at the White House? Is he getting pushback? He's getting pushback from Republicans.
And there's a reason why. All of them are up for election this year. He's not on the ballot. Some of them are in very, very competitive districts where the issues are specific to their district. So it's not a surprise. Secondly, he's a lame duck. Can't run again after 2 years. That said, he's still a popular governor. I think anywhere from 52 to 56% of Floridians say they still like him, and that runs about 80-some% of Republicans.
Why was this state park thing even a priority? You've got a cost of living crisis that's eating at this state, insurance, housing. This is the kind of stuff that has, I think, people thinking, obviously his critics think this already, that state lawmakers are out of touch with the people who are having a hard time dealing with the price of paradise, as we call it.
Actually, this started with a veterans group that brought it to the table. There's 9 parks involved, and it evolved. But what it shows is that when people PO'd, they show up and they protest. In Florida, right now what you have, everybody's moving in here. So among the newcomers, they don't want to see pristine parklands turned into something else.
Right.
Old timers sure don't. And so obviously you've got this whole reason why it wasn't a great idea.
Yeah, it really touched a nerve. Meanwhile, this Ben Sasse situation at UF, former senator from Nebraska, this guy spent millions more than his predecessor as president at University of Florida, doling out a lot of money to his cronies, his consultants, and now this week we learned he's getting a golden parachute, $1 million a year till 28. He was selected essentially behind closed doors, and DeSantis had a heavy hand in the process. Who's holding the bag on this one?
The Board of Governors or the Board of Trustees, they're the ones, the Board of Trustees for the university, but of course they're political appointees. A student newspaper, which actually broke this story,
right.
Why is he getting a golden parachute? Because he signed a contract that was through 2028. Breaking a contract would be very bad for the university from a financial perspective, so they're kind of stuck.
All right, Dr. MacManus, hang with us. We got more to talk about next here on Full Circle Florida. Enough about them. What about you? What do you want? More like, who do you want? Have you decided in this election what you told me this week?